What up? Now, I don't know who this is going to resonate with, and if this goes over your head, I'm truly sorry. I'm not meaning to go over anyone's head. So just take it if it resonates, and if it doesn't, just go ahead and leave it. But I'll tell you, there's going to be a point in time in your journey where it is going to resonate for you, and you should come back. You should listen to it with a new perspective. Because there's some sort of takeaway here. I can promise you there's some sort of takeaway. I don't know if anybody feels that the energy is kind of really deep right now. The energy is kind of really deep, and it was deep yesterday too. So right now, if you're being called to take time for yourself, go into yourself, and just sit in that established peace we've been talking about, then go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, because as the world is shifting, you are shifting as well. So just keep in mind to show yourself some love, that unconditional love that you show everybody else. Make sure you show it to yourself this week, especially this week. I was talking with a shadow work client this morning in session, and we were talking about the ego mind. And I just would love to share the perspective with everybody. And like I said, take it or leave it. Don't come for me. But the ego mind is our humanness. And I feel like it's not always taught this way. It's more often taught as something negative. But it doesn't have to be. It's our safeguard. And yeah, our safeguard can do some crazy things. It can have us mask up. It can have us pretend. It could have us downplay. It could have us ignore. But it's our safeguard. It's also the most human thing that we have. And I know that that's wild to think about, but it really is. And then we talk about the fact that we are soul in a vessel. Our egos are necessary. But not from a bombastic kind of a crazy perspective, from a balanced perspective. And I'll tell you why. Your soul is your etherical connection. It is your higher consciousness. It is in the realm of the we mind, the hive mind, the oneness mind. I am separated into one to be brought together as one kind of a mind. I work for the greatest, highest good of me, myself, and us, right? That kind of a mentality, and that we are all interconnected in many facets, and we share energy cords that you could not even begin to fathom, and we sit on a cosmic web that you could not even begin to wrap your mind around, and everything is a sign, because we are so connected, and the domino effects are incredibly real. Where people lose it is thinking that the ego has no place. The ego has a place, and quite often, especially when we start talking about love and unconditional love and giving and reciprocity of energy, the ego is there to make sure that you are not taken advantage of in your free soul, in your free energy, in your spirit in a vessel, right? You're not taking advantage of in the 3D by those who do not operate from the soul. If we all operated from the soul, there would be no need for the ego. But because we are in the 3D, the ego is our safeguard for our soul so that we are not taken advantage of. The ego is what creates the boundaries. The ego is what creates the, oh, hell no, that we experience sometimes. It's also what puts things on a ladder. It's also what puts things on a scale. It's what creates the personality. But for some reason, Spirit wants to talk about the boundaries, and how a lot of times when we think of ego, we think, oh, I'm egotistical. Like, no. Think about it in a balanced, healthy way. It is in check. It is in check. It is kept at a sustainable and healthy level, right? You can't get rid of your personality. You would be one dry motherfucker if you tried. It's there for a purpose. And when we start talking about boundaries, specifically Spirit's talking about, when we start talking about boundaries. We're talking about the ego being the I. The I'm worth something, the I'm this, the I don't deserve this, and the soul is the we. It's the hive mind. It's the oneness. It's the interconnectedness, right? And the balance of both is important while we are spirit in a vessel. Once we are just spirit, the ego dissolves and it is not needed. When we talk about boundaries, when you get so far on your healing journey, your personal spiritual journey, you will realize that you don't set boundaries with many people above you. I'll wait. You don't set boundaries with many people above you. Boundaries are for people typically at your level or below. And that's not ego. That just is frequency. When you come from a growth period, you can realize that we are at different levels from others without downplaying the station of yourself or the other person, because that's not the point. Like I said, ego in check. We're just at different levels, right? The people who may be more negative, who you may find more draining, who may vibrate at a more dense, a more lower frequency, you will find that they do not reciprocate what the soul gives willingly. The help, the love, the ears to listen, the, all of this, the giving space for somebody, the whatever. That comes from the soul. That doesn't come from the ego when you do it properly, when you feel your way through life. And for whatever reason, they're just talking about how in a perfect world, when we go back to spirit, we don't need the ego because everybody is a give-take. It's reciprocity. It works for the good of, highest greatest good of myself and us, because we are one, right? But when we're down here and people are acting inauthentically and people are masked up and they're not healed and they have traumas and they have things they don't want to deal with and their ego is unchecked, unbalanced, and it masks and it does all these safeguards to protect the vessel, the body, right? What ends up happening is that you get pulled on by people who either manipulate, want something from you, you fit a thing that they need, or maybe they don't know how to make themselves feel better, so they use you to make them feel better. It doesn't matter what it is. We've all done it at one point or another. That's beside the point. Boundaries are what stop your soul from being taken advantage of. Your essence, your purity from being taken advantage of. And you can assert your boundaries in a balanced way. You don't have to come from an overly egotistical mind. And I don't know who needs to hear this part of it, but they're just talking about, look at your friends group. Chances are the people who you look up to, you don't have many boundaries with, do you? Because you don't need to. They're not pulling from you because they have what they need, and they don't need those types of things from you. They appreciate you. They know your worth. They see your company, your whatever. They see what you bring to the table, and it's an equal reciprocity, because reciprocity in its nature of energy is a higher frequency. That's that constant give-take. The lower frequencies are the takers and the failures to realize that they should give. And it's, I don't know what Spirit wants this to come out for, but they're just talking about how sometimes we need to rethink how we look at things. And they're just talking about when you surround yourself with people that you align with, you'll realize you don't have to set so many boundaries. You set boundaries with people where you don't match energy, where you don't align with people, where people don't match your frequency, where you don't come together, where you're not in alignment with others. And they're just talking about if you can create a reality. They started bridging into creating reality. When you can create a reality with the constructs that you work from. My ego is not mean. It is not bad. It is a necessary evil for keeping the essence, my soul, intact while I navigate through being boots on the ground, a spirit in a vessel. It keeps me from giving too much of myself too freely from those who could never repay me back, thus draining me. And people don't teach it this way. But typically the ones that we make the biggest boundaries with are the ones that don't align with us, the ones that really probably shouldn't be in our inner circle. The ones who shouldn't we shouldn't necessarily be hanging around or be spending time with. And they just keep talking about how if you're the highest person in your friends group, and you guys hear me and Keys say it all the time, if you're the highest person in your friends group, you need a friends group. You need a friends group that you have somebody who's on your level, slightly below you, right? Like learning, may look up to you, and then you need somebody that you look up to, and you guys can swap roles nonstop. That is a magical friends group, when you can swap roles nonstop. Maybe one area you're a little better, maybe the next area you're not as great, like, and you can just effortlessly flow and grow together. That's what they are telling you to align yourself with. And when we start talking about perspectives, and the perspectives that you assume others hold of you, that's none of your business. That is an unbalanced ego when we care. Right earring. When we care about what others think about us or perceive us, or we assume the perception or the perspective of others of ourselves. I lost my train of thought. And that's not where they wanted me to go. That's not where they wanted me to go. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the ego isn't bad. The ego is a necessary evil of the 3D. And it's a necessary evil, and I say evil because it cannot be demolished. And it's already present, so therefore energy cannot be destroyed. We spend too much time battling our ego. We spend too much time fighting ourselves and not enough time accepting ourselves. Your ego is present because you have never been accepted. Your ego is present because it's had to be, to try to keep the spirit, the essence, the soul that is you safe. I really wish people would hear that. When you start blending together the things that you are, your ego mind, the soul mind, the intuition as one energy, and you function your reality off of that one energy, you can change anything in a blink of an eye. Anything in a blink of an eye. Because you align with it so immensely that there is nothing else left but for it to be reciprocated. If you are no longer your shadow self and your you self and your child self, if you're just one energy, one consistent flowing being, you would be surprised what you can materialize, what you can decide is in your reality, what you can decide you get to experience. Do not forget, as within, so without, you are the universe experiencing itself. And a lot of people say it, but they don't understand it. If we can step out of the constructs from which we've been taught, both personally and spiritually, and just get into it on an energetic and a frequency level, you are the key to this entire existence, because you are this entire existence. Anything that ever has been, is, and will be is you, and it is housed inside your vessel. And if you can align yourself to that truth, and the truth of all aspects of you have space to exist inside the vessel, you will notice that all aspects of you have space to exist with outside the vessel, which means everything you seek is seeking you. Everything you are is. And you will realize that the things you decide you want and you decide that you would like to experience or have the option to have present in your reality, you will realize that these things will come easily to you without a second thought and without any hesitation. You can course correct at any time. If you find yourself setting too many boundaries and they're not being respected and your ego is going wild because of it, then you are surrounding yourself with the wrong kind of people. And it's okay. You grow and so does your people. You grow and so does your circle. You're allowed to gap people. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to accept yourself fully because that's the point. I have zero idea what the heck I just said. But Spirit seems very satisfied. So I'm just going to leave this 16 minutes and 16 seconds. I apologize. I'm not going to edit this. I'm not rewatching it. I'm not editing it. We're just going to drop it in its entirety because why not? That's where I'm at today. Raw honesty. Here we go. For everybody who's wanted to look inside of what talking to my team looks like, feels like, and is. This might, I don't want to say that because I don't really remember what I said, but this might be one of those moments. I think I'm just going to leave it. We're going to leave it. Stay present today. All days. Stay present. It's extremely important. You have forged the peace within yourself. And for the subsection of the collective that this would apply to, you have forged the peace within yourself. Sit in it. Sit in it and realize what you can do in it. Realize the creation, 717. Realize the creation that it brings to the table for you. Everything is materializing super quickly. Dreams are wild. Things are firing up fast. Buckle up. Buckle up. Bye, guys.